I followed her on TikTok long before I ever met her in person. Everyone did. She had hundreds of thousands of followers, posted makeup tutorials and fashion hauls and day-in-the-life videos that made her seem glamorous and untouchable, like someone who lived in a completely different world than the rest of us. Her name was Maya, and she built her entire online persona around being perfect, the kind of influencer who never showed cracks, never admitted mistakes, always maintained the image of someone whose life was enviable in every possible way. I thought I knew her from watching her content. I had no idea how wrong I was until the night she tried to kill me. It started with her mother. I had been seeing Maya's mother's boyfriend for a few months, a casual relationship that nobody took too seriously except apparently Maya's mom. When he ended things with her to focus on his career, she did not take it well. She started calling him obsessively, showing up at his apartment uninvited, making threats about what she would do if he did not come back to her. He told me about it, but downplayed the severity, said she was just upset and would calm down eventually. Neither of us realized she was involving Maya, turning her daughter into an accomplice in whatever plan was forming in her mind. The first contact came through Instagram. Maya sent me a direct message, friendly and casual, saying she had heard I knew her mom's ex and wanted to talk about the situation. Maybe clear the air and help everyone move on peacefully. Her profile looked legitimate. Millions of followers and verified checkmark and that same polished image she projected in all her videos. I thought having a conversation with her might actually help de-escalate things, so I agreed to meet. She suggested a location outside the city, said it would be more private and comfortable than meeting at a coffee shop where people might recognize her. That should have been my first warning, but I was naive enough to believe a TikTok influencer with a wholesome online image could not possibly be dangerous. I drove out to meet her on a Friday night in February, following the directions she sent to a quiet stretch of road lined with trees and minimal streetlights. She said she would be there with a friend, that it would just be a quick conversation to sort everything out. When I pulled into the meeting spot, I saw 2 cars waiting, their headlights cutting through the darkness. Maya was standing outside one of them, dressed casually in the kind of outfit she would never post online, no makeup, no ring light, just a young woman who looked nervous and tense. Her mother was in the other car, and that is when my stomach started to drop, when I realized this was not going to be the peaceful conversation I had been promised. What happened next unfolded so fast I barely had time to process it. Maya's mother got out of her car screaming, calling me names and accusing me of ruining her relationship, her voice echoing across the empty road. I tried to calm her down, tried to explain that I had nothing to do with her boyfriend's decision, but she was beyond reason. Maya stood behind her mother, filming everything on her phone, and I remember thinking how surreal it was that even in this moment of confrontation, the instinct to document it for content was still there. Then the situation escalated beyond anything I could have anticipated. Maya's mother got back in her car, and suddenly both vehicles were moving, engines roaring, headlights blinding me as they started driving aggressively, circling my car, boxing me in. I tried to reverse, to get away, but they were coordinated, working together to trap me on that dark road. Maya was driving one of the cars now, her mother in the passenger seat shouting instructions, and the influencer I had followed online for makeup tips and fashion advice was actively participating in what I was beginning to realize was an attempt to hurt me. I managed to break free, my car scraping against theirs as I forced my way out of the trap they had created, and I floored the accelerator, racing down that dark road with both of their vehicles chasing me. The speedometer climbed past 80, past 90, my hand shaking on the steering wheel as I tried to navigate turns and keep distance between us. I called emergency services, screaming into my phone that I was being chased, that someone was trying to run me off the road, giving the operator my location and begging them to send help. But they did not stop. They kept chasing, kept trying to force me off the road, and on one particularly sharp turn, I lost control. My car spun, hit the guardrail, and for a moment everything went silent, except for the sound of metal scraping and glass shattering. I was conscious but dazed, my airbag deployed and my chest aching from the impact. and through my cracked windshield I could see their cars pulling up alongside mine. Maya and her mother got out, and instead of checking if I was alive or calling for help, they stood there filming, recording my destroyed car and my bloodied face like it was content for their personal archive. That is when I heard the sirens. Police had been tracking my emergency call and arrived just as Maya and her mother were deciding what to do next. I watched through my broken window as officers surrounded them, ordered them to the ground, took their phones as evidence. Maya's perfect influencer composure cracked then, tears streaming down her face as she was handcuffed, her mother still screaming about betrayal and revenge, even as she was being arrested. I spent that night in the hospital with a concussion, broken ribs, and lacerations that required stitches. But I was alive, which is more than I can say for the two people who were in the other car, the one that got caught in the chase and crashed when Maya tried to ram my vehicle. They died on impact, innocent victims who were just driving on the same road at the wrong time, whose lives ended because a TikTok influencer and her mother decided that revenge was worth killing for. The trial was a media circus. Maya's TikTok following meant the case got national attention, true crime podcasts and YouTube documentaries dissecting every detail, analyzing the footage she had filmed that night as evidence of premeditation. Her videos were played in court, showing her glamorous lifestyle contrasted against the violent reality of what she had participated in. People who had followed her for years struggled to reconcile the smiling makeup tutorial girl with the person who had chased someone down a dark road and contributed to 2 deaths. She was convicted of murder, her mother too, both sentenced to life in prison. The judge noted that Maya had every opportunity to stop what was happening, that instead of de-escalating or calling for help, she had actively participated, had filmed the violence, had treated the entire situation like content to be documented rather than a crime to be prevented. Her TikTok account was deleted, her videos scrubbed from the platform, but screenshots and re-uploads circulated for months afterward, people morbidly fascinated by the influencer who became a killer. I testified at the trial, recounted every detail of that night, described the terror of being chased and the surreal horror of watching someone I had followed online try to murder me. Maya looked at me from across the courtroom with the same blank expression she used in her videos, like she was performing for an audience that was no longer there, still unable to process that her actions had real consequences beyond likes and comments and follower counts. The documentary about the case aired a year later, exploring how social media culture creates personas that hide darkness beneath polished surfaces, how the pressure to maintain a perfect online image can drive people to desperate measures when that image is threatened. I did not watch it. I could not sit through another retelling of the worst night of my life. Another analysis of Maya's psychology and social media presence and the factors that led to murder. The people who made that documentary probably thought they were providing important commentary on influencer culture, but to me it felt like exploitation, like turning tragedy into entertainment under the guise of education. I do not use TikTok anymore. I cannot scroll through videos of perfect lives and curated moments without wondering what darkness exists behind those smiles, what violence might lurk beneath those polished exteriors. Maya taught me that the person you see online is never the complete truth, that followers and verification checkmarks and viral videos mean nothing when it comes to actual character. She had hundreds of thousands of people who thought they knew her, who trusted her recommendations and admired her lifestyle, and none of them suspected she was capable of participating in murder. Sometimes I see her old videos re-uploaded by true crime channels, clips of her doing makeup or showing outfit hauls, edited together with ominous music and text overlays explaining what she would later be convicted of. The comments are always the same. People expressing shock that someone who seemed so normal could do something so terrible, analyzing her expressions for signs of psychopathy, debating whether social media fame corrupted her or whether she was always capable of violence and just hid it well. I know the answer to that question, even if they do not. Maya was always capable of what she did. The TikTok persona was not hiding a monster. It was the monster. The narcissism and need for control, an inability to handle anything that threatened her carefully constructed image. When her mother's relationship fell apart, it became a threat to their family's reputation, to the perfect life they were selling online, and rather than accept imperfection, they chose violence. I survived that night, but I carry the scars physically and mentally. I survived because police arrived in time, because I got lucky when my car hit the guardrail instead of flipping completely, because Maya and her mother hesitated just long enough for help to arrive. 2 other people were not as fortunate. They died because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, because an influencer and her mother were too consumed by rage and ego to care about collateral damage. If you follow influencers on social media, I want you to remember something. You do not know these people. You know the version of themselves they choose to show you, the edited and filtered and carefully curated performance they put on for an audience. Behind that performance could be kindness and authenticity, or behind it could be someone capable of violence, someone who values their image more than human life, someone who will do terrible things to protect the illusion of perfection. Maya taught me that lesson in the worst possible way. I hope you never have to learn it the way I did.
Hello, my name is Martin, and I have a story to tell you. It all started a few years ago, back in the day when TikTok wasn't this popular. That's when the whole thing started, with me staring at my phone every morning, hoping for notifications that never came. If you look me up now, you'll find nothing. All my accounts were suspended and banned. But it wasn't always like this. I used to be very popular, but for the wrong reasons. The first time my videos got attention was when I caught a real fever. I was stuck in bed, sweating, bored, annoyed. I posted a clip saying I felt awful. For the first time in months, comments flooded in. People asked if I was okay. Some wrote essays about staying strong. I swallowed that attention like it was medicine. When I recovered, everything went quiet again. The silence felt like someone had pulled the plug on my whole world. I posted another video saying the fever was lingering. People reacted again. It felt too good, almost addictive. That's when things started to rot, even if I was too desperate to notice. I spent a lot of time alone. My family worked all day, and I stayed in my room scrolling endlessly. Hours blended together. The only thing that changed was the hit of attention when someone left a comment. Eventually, just saying I felt sick wasn't enough. The views dipped again. The app made it clear: be interesting or disappear. That pressure sat on my chest like a weight. I hated the idea of going back to being invisible, so I pushed the story further. I said the fever had turned into something worse. I claimed my legs felt weak. People believed me instantly. They called me brave. They sent money. Their support hit harder than anything else in my life. I practiced looking weaker by dragging my feet through the hallway. I recorded myself using a chair like a walker. The comments exploded with sympathy. Soon, I bought a cheap wheelchair. It squeaked horribly, but it looked real enough on camera. People cried in the comments. Donations increased. And the silence in my room finally vanished. Every day, I woke up terrified that people would stop caring. I checked my phone before I even moved. The idea of being ignored again made me feel sick. I pushed the lie deeper. I acted shaky on camera. I filmed late-night episodes. The more dramatic I made it, the more people followed. But the tension in my head never faded. I barely slept. I hid everything from my family. I trained myself to stay in the wheelchair for hours so my legs looked stiff on video. The routine messed with me until I wasn't sure what was fake anymore. When I uploaded, my throat tightened with panic. What if someone noticed something? What if the whole thing collapsed? The comments saved me, but they also trapped me. They called me strong, a fighter. That word poisoned me more than anything. Strong. Everything got worse when a follower messaged me privately, asking for medical documents. My stomach dropped. If they exposed me, I'd be done. I searched online for templates. I filled out forms with shaky handwriting. I stained them with coffee so they looked worn. I imagined myself getting banned, humiliated, exposed, but they believed the documents. And yet, the fear stayed. It grew like mold inside my head. When the donations slowed again, something snapped. I looked at the wheelchair, at the camera, and my empty notification bar and felt concerned. If I couldn't keep faking it, then I needed to prove something real. The idea came quietly. Show them something dramatic enough that they'd never doubt me again. My family had no idea. They thought I was dealing with some rare condition. I hid everything. Chairs, receipts, packaging. I pretended to nap whenever they checked on me. But the final push didn't come from me. It came from them, my audience. They started demanding proof. Some wanted close-ups. Some wanted live updates. Some wrote things that felt more like orders than comments. If it's that bad, show us. Don't cut the video next time. We need to see something real. I should have logged off. Instead, I reread those messages until the pressure twisted into something worse, a sense of obligation. That's when I hid a small tool in my room, convincing myself I'd only pretend to use it for a video. But the longer I thought about it, the more real the idea started to feel. That night, I set up my phone on the floor. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped it. I recorded a short update saying things were getting worse. The comments came instantly. Don't hold back. Show us. If it hurts, let us see it. It didn't feel like support anymore. It felt like a crowd pushing someone closer to the edge just to see what would happen. I sat there on the floor, breathing hard, staring at the tool. I lifted my left arm and placed my right hand on the handle. My chest tightened. My eyes burned. This wasn't about sickness anymore. I was seconds away from doing something I wouldn't be able to take back. My arm was already tense. The tool pressed against my skin just enough for my brain to scream at me, and the only thing pushing me forward were the comments flashing non-stop on my phone. Do it on camera. Don't chicken out. We've been waiting for this. Someone even wrote, if you stop now, you're a fraud. My heart pounded so hard I felt lightheaded, and for a moment I actually leaned in, ready to follow through just to shut them up. That's when the door blasted open so loudly I jumped. My brother lunged toward me before I could pull back, ripping the tool out of my hand while my parents grabbed my arms and held me still. They didn't yell. They looked terrified, like they'd caught me inches away from falling off a cliff. I couldn't even look at them. The only thing I could see, even with the tool gone and my family pulling me into the hallway, was my phone screen still glowing on the floor, filled with strangers cheering me towards something. I almost did. My family held my wrists gently, keeping me from picking anything up. My mom kept saying my name like she was trying to pull me back to reality. I couldn't look at any of them. The shame hit harder than anything else. They didn't yell. They didn't freak out. They just stayed with me, grounding me, making sure I didn't do something stupid in a moment of panic. I didn't fight. I didn't even speak. They helped me up, guided me out of the room, and drove me to the hospital. No cameras. No comments. Just the heavy silence of facing what I'd almost done. The doctor talked to me calmly, told me I'd be transferred for evaluation. My family stayed nearby, exhausted and scared. My account was suspended. My videos removed. Donations refunded. My name stopped trending faster than I could blink. Now I'm in treatment. I'm learning to live without constant validation, without turning myself into a spectacle. I'm not proud of anything I did, and I can't blame it all on the audience. I was the one who crossed lines, even if I stopped right before the worst part. Sometimes I think about how close I was, how my brain convinced me that strangers' attention mattered more than my own safety. The scariest part isn't what almost happened. It's knowing that if my family hadn't walked in, I might have listened to people who didn't care whether I survived or not, only whether the story stayed interesting. And that's what I have to carry now. Every day. My name's Leah. I'm 18, and for the record, I didn't plan any of this. Things just got out of hand. Before it all went to hell, my life was the same as any other girl in Hellman. School, part-time job at the cafe, wasting hours on TikTok like everyone else. My friends and I used to laugh at stupid videos, make dumb lip syncs, and post filters that made us look like someone else. That's how everything started. A stupid app. There was this girl, Dana. Everyone knew her. Tall, perfect hair, the kind of face that got likes no matter what she posted. We were never friends, but she followed me for a while. Then out of nowhere, she blocked me. I didn't even notice until my classmates started asking if I'd seen the account. It was a TikTok page with my name on it, or well, a nickname they made up. They posted videos making fun of me, slow-motion clips from class, taken without me noticing. My face distorted, captions saying I looked like a rat. The comments were full of laughing emojis. The username had Dana's style all over it. At first, I thought it would fade away like every other thing online, but it didn't. It got worse. Every day there was a new post. Someone filmed me walking home, eating, even talking to my friends. It felt like the walls of the city were closing in on me. I tried reporting it, but TikTok just sent an automated message. My mom told me to ignore it. My dad said it was just kids being idiots. But it wasn't just that. They were hunting me online. Then came the messages. Anonymous accounts sending me threats. Comments saying things like, "Wait till we see you after school." I knew it was Dana's group. 5 girls, all younger except her. I didn't even know their names. I only knew their laughs. One Friday night, I snapped. I sent a message to Dana on Instagram, told her to stop hiding behind fake accounts. She answered instantly, saying we could talk in person. "Let's clear things up tomorrow, behind the mall." That's where everything went wrong. I got there early. The parking lot was half empty. The wind carried plastic bags and the sound of a bike chain hitting metal. I stood near the fence, trying to act like I wasn't nervous. I kept looking at my phone, pretending I had control. Then they came. All 5 of them. Dana was in the middle, her hair tied up, wearing that smug smile she always had in her videos. The other 4 were holding their phones like they were ready to film a concert. I felt my stomach twist. Dana walked up to me and said it was funny how I thought she'd stop just because I cried about it online. Her friends laughed. I told her I just wanted it to end. She said it would. Then she nodded to one of the girls. They surrounded me. I remember the cold metal of a phone pressed to my face, the red recording light. Someone pushed me from behind. I fell hard. Dana kicked my ribs while the others shouted things I can't forget. They ripped my jacket, grabbed my hair, and pulled. One of them took out scissors. I froze, but my body kept shaking. The sound of hair being cut filled my ears. I tried covering my head, but fists kept coming from every side. Someone screamed, "Get her face! Get it on camera!" When they were done, they left me lying there, blood dripping from my lip, hair scattered on the ground. I saw one of them checking the video, laughing, saying it would go viral. Dana looked down at me and said, "Now you're famous." Then they walked away. I didn't cry, not there. I just stood up and walked home. Every step burned. My head was buzzing. My mom screamed when she saw me. My dad called the police, but they said they'd investigate. That word meant nothing. 2 days later, the video went up. It had over 100,000 views before I could even report it. Hashtags everywhere. Comments saying I deserved it, that it was just a prank. I stayed in my room for days. Every sound from my phone made my heart race. Then, something inside me changed. I stopped feeling scared. It was like a switch flipped. I started watching the video over and over again, focusing on Dana's face, the way she smiled when she hit me, the sound of her voice echoing in my head. I wanted it gone. I wanted her gone. I started following her TikTok again, but from a fake account. I saw her posting dances, smiling like nothing had happened. The comments were full of hearts, people calling her brave. My stomach twisted every time. I couldn't sleep anymore. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. One night, I went to my dad's tool shed. He fixes bikes sometimes, keeps his tools in perfect order. There was a small hatchet hanging by the window, the kind you use to split wood. My fingers wrapped around the handle before I even thought about it. For days, I carried it in my backpack. I didn't plan anything, at least not consciously. But my body knew something was coming. Every time I saw Dana's face on my screen, I felt closer to doing it. It happened one evening at the park near the school. Dana and her friends were filming another video, music blasting from a speaker. People walking by, laughing, not caring. I walked up slowly, keeping my hood on. My heartbeat felt like gunshots in my chest. When I got close, Dana turned. Her smile froze when she saw me. She started to say something, maybe a joke, but I was already moving. The hatchet hit her shoulder first. I didn't even feel my hand move. The sound it made, dull, wet, cut through the music. She screamed, tried to run, but I pulled it out and swung it again. The others backed away, phones still in their hands, frozen. I hit her again and again until the screaming stopped. Her friends didn't even help her. They just stood there, shaking, some crying. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." I dropped the hatchet. My hands were covered in red. For a few seconds, everything was silent, except the music still playing from the speaker. Then I heard people shouting, running. Someone called the police. I didn't move. I looked down at what was left of her face and felt nothing, just empty. The cops dragged me away while everyone filmed. I saw the red recording lights everywhere, the same light from that night behind the mall. It didn't even feel real. It's been 4 months. They keep me in a white room now. I'm not allowed to have anything sharp. They say I'm under observation. The nurses smile at me like I'm a child. I know they've seen the video. Everyone has. They say I'll stay here for a long time. I don't mind. I don't need to go outside anymore. I see everything on the screen they bring me. News reports, reaction videos, people talking about the girl with the hatchet. They debate if I'm a monster or a victim. I watch all of it. Sometimes I hear Dana's voice in the hallway. I know it's not real, but when the lights flicker, I see her standing by the door, her face split open, whispering the same words she said before kicking me. "Now you're famous." And she's right. I am.
I downloaded the filter as a joke. It was one trending effect on TikTok that supposedly let you see ghosts. You turn it on, scan your room, and it randomly drops a faint figure into your space. Everyone was pretending to be scared for views. I thought I'd do the same, just to screw around for a couple of minutes. I tested it in the living room. Nothing. Bedroom. Nothing. Bathroom. Nothing. Then, I pointed it towards the chair in the kitchen. The image on the screen shuddered. Green lines formed on the chair. Then it shaped into a person. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was too stupid to believe. It had to be a trick, but something about the way it stayed frozen in the chair started to bother me. I tried the filter again the next day. Same thing. No ghost in the hallway. None in the kitchen. But the moment I pointed it towards the chair, there was a man, middle-aged, motionless, face pale and messed up, like it had been scrubbed out. It didn't react. He just stared forward, as if he'd been sitting there long. I checked different angles, different times of day, but it didn't change. I assumed the app was glitching, maybe anchoring the ghost to the shape of the chair for some dumb programming reason. Just to test the theory, I dragged the chair into the center of the room. The ghost followed, not the space, just the chair. I moved it again. Same thing. The figure stayed locked in place, always seated, always facing forward. I started recording it, trying to find a pattern. The more I filmed, the more consistent it became. I FaceTimed my boyfriend and asked him to try the filter. I showed him what I was seeing. He laughed at first too, until he saw how clear it was. He even admitted it didn't look like a generic overlay. It looked too specific, like someone had been scanned and dropped into the chair for real. That night, I moved the recliner into my bedroom, just to see what would happen. I wasn't scared, just curious. I figured it'd make good content. Around 2 a.m., something made me open my eyes. I didn't hear a bang or a voice. It was quieter than that. A dragging noise, barely audible, but steady. A slow scrape against the wooden floor, 1 foot at a time. It was coming from inside the room. I sat up, and that's when I noticed that the chair wasn't where I'd left it. It had moved several feet. It now sat in the center of the room, facing the foot of my bed. I didn't move. I just stared at it. Nothing else in the room looked different. Nothing was tipped over or broken. Just the chair. Then, I heard the noise again. One more scrape. It shifted another inch closer. I whispered my boyfriend's name, thinking maybe he snuck in to mess with me. No response. I reached for my phone on the nightstand and turned on the app. The filter activated. The ghost wasn't in the chair anymore. The cold grip of dread kicked in, not in my chest, but in the back of my throat. I scanned the room slowly, hoping it was a glitch. When I turned the camera to my left, I saw it, standing beside me, not sitting. Its blurry gray body right next to my face. I froze for a second, not out of fear, but because something hit me in that moment. It wasn't just standing there. It was watching me, closely. Then, everything snapped at once. A pressure hit my throat like a vice. Not soft, not vague. Real fingers. I dropped the phone as my back slammed against the wall. My legs lifted off the floor. It was choking me, dragging me up like I weighted nothing. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. My lungs burnt. I grabbed the invisible arms, but it didn't feel like air. They were solid, cold, and thick like steel cables. I kicked, thrashed, but I was off the ground, completely pinned. My vision started to warp at the edges. My nails clawed at whatever held me, but there was no give. I couldn't even cough. My body was just hanging there. Then, something slammed me against the bedroom door, loud, fast. My boyfriend burst in. The second he opened the door, the grip on my neck vanished. I dropped hard, landed sideways on the nightstand, and my right arm cracked. I screamed, not from fear, but from pure pain. The bone snapped, and I felt it twist under my skin. My boyfriend ran over, trying to lift me, but his eyes weren't on me. They were locked in the empty corner of the room behind me. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Whatever he saw, I saw too. The chair was back where it had started, facing us, even though no one had moved it. My boyfriend turned pale, and we both bolted out the room. We didn't even close the door. We just left it wide open behind us. At the hospital, we lied, said I tripped and fell trying to close the window. They didn't question it, just patched up my arm and sent me home. We barely spoke in the car. We knew what we saw. We knew what it did, but neither of us had the guts to say it out loud. As soon as we got home, we went back to the bedroom. The chair was still there, center of the room again. My boyfriend didn't hesitate. He grabbed one end while I supported it with my good arm. We hauled it down the stairs, out the door, straight to the dumpster. We didn't wait till morning. We didn't discuss it. We just did it. The chair hit the bottom of the bin with a loud crack. Something inside it broke, like a piece of wood splitting. We walked back in silence. My boyfriend locked the front door twice. Then we slept in the living room, lights on, backs against the wall. The next day, I checked the app again, even though I shouldn't have. I needed to be sure. I scanned the living room, the kitchen, hallway. Nothing. No ghost. I pointed the camera at the empty corner where the chair had been. Still nothing. It was gone. Whatever it was, it had been tied to that object. But that night, I had a dream. Or maybe it wasn't. I saw the chair. Not the one we threw out, but a different one. The same figure is sitting in it. But now, it wasn't just staring. It was smiling. The corners of its mouth stretched unnaturally wide, like it had waited a long time for something. I woke up sweating. The window was open. I hadn't opened it. We never told our parents, never said a word to anyone else. Even now, it's like a rule between us. Don't mention the chair. Don't talk about what happened. My arm healed. But I never went back to sleeping in that room. I stay in the living room with the lights on. My boyfriend sleeps with headphones in, drowning everything out. The chair's probably gone, burned, or dumped somewhere out of the city. But I can't forget the grip on my throat, the strength, the precision. That wasn't a ghost floating around for laughs. It was something alive, just not in the way we understand. It watched us for days, silent, patient, until it finally decided to act. I don't think it wanted to be seen. I think it was testing if we could. And it knows we did. 3 months later and I'm still scared to scroll through TikTok. I deleted the app. But sometimes my boyfriend shows me dumb videos. And I swear I see the scene blur in the background of someone else's clip. A chair. A figure. Always watching.